Hello and welcome to the programme.
Hello, good evening. Coming up tonight, feeling isolated and forgotten, we meet the Yorkshire Dales community preparing to lose their local health centre.
What do we do? Where do we go? How do we manage? Because it's just been always part of life that they were here and caring for us.
2 hotels in Halifax are the latest to close their doors on asylum seekers in an effort to save taxpayers money.
Hospice bosses gather in Westminster as the fight for urgent funding is taken to the government's front door, with fears that services across the region are at breaking point.
And just 2 years since they went down from the Championship, Rotherham are relegated to the 4th tier of English football for the first time in more than a decade.
Good evening. First tonight, people living in isolated communities in a part of the Yorkshire Dales are preparing to lose their medical centre, leaving residents fearing lives will be put at risk.
The current GP in Upper Swaledale is retiring at the end of May and no replacement has been found. And this isn't a rare problem, unfortunately, with nearly 1 in 5 rural households needing to travel half an hour for a GP.
John Hill has been in the Dales today, meeting patients who are dreading the loss.
It's a beautiful and remote corner of our region, but life for the 1,600 inhabitants across the 200 square miles of Upper Swaledale is about to get even more isolated. The much-valued GP is retiring. His surgery in Reeth is to close. The NHS seems unable to find a replacement.
How long have you been here then?
46 years.
David needs a GP more than most. He lost a leg during COVID. Now he's having chemotherapy for cancer.
You have to go regularly to the Reeth practice for blood tests. That's going to be difficult. Obviously I rely on them for medication. That's going to be difficult. I think they just look at a map and say, oh, it's not very far to the surgery. Well, they don't worry about what I call the bumps in the way, the hills and fells and everything in the way, and the complete lack of public transport.
Well, roads lead in all directions from Reeth, but NHS leaders say that in future patients from this area will have to travel to the likes of Laban, Richmond, Hawes or Aysgarth. Now, at the best of times, that could involve a round trip of, say, an hour, perhaps an hour and a half, but in the winter, the roads can be treacherous, sometimes impassable.
95-year-old Barbara has lived here all her life. Now she's at a loss.
What do we do? Where do we go? How do we manage? Because it's just been always part of life that they were here and caring for us in a most wonderful, helpful way.
We need a surgery, we can't afford to let it close.
Definitely not, and we need the pharmacy as well.
Yeah.
At the Red Lion Inn, counsellors and the publican are in little doubt that it's older people and the vulnerable who will suffer, whose lives could be at risk.
They are in danger, absolutely in danger, because they will not travel over there, so what are they going to do? They won't get treatment when they need it, and that's because they'll just think, I can't expect somebody to take me over the moors, I can't get over there myself, I'll have to just wait and see what happens.
I'm 83 this year and I don't think I'd want to drive over the top in winter. And there's no bus. We haven't a bus at all in the Dale. So there's no other way. I just don't know how people will cope.
The NHS says it's searched in vain for a GP to take on the practice. The local MP, former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, says he's been in touch with 2 potential operators, but so far there's no solution. And if one isn't found, it's unclear how the likes of David will carry on getting the treatment they so desperately need. John Hill, ITV News, in Upper Swaledale.
Gosh, yes, you can see why it's so difficult. On to other news. The Home Office has announced that 2 hotels in Halifax will no longer be used to house people who fled their countries.
Asylum seekers previously put up in 11 hotels across the country will be taken to larger scale basic accommodation such as military sites.
But there are now concerns that this isn't suitable for vulnerable refugees. Well, Katie Oscroft is outside one of the hotels in Halifax. And Katie, this is exactly what the government said it would do, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Lara. The government promised that all hotels like this one, the Wool Merchant here in the centre of Halifax, will be closed by the next election, ending, it said, the frustration of local people. The second hotel, just a few miles away, the Rock in Halifax, is also shut now. It was a wedding venue and a restaurant before it began to accept those seeking asylum. The government says it's sending a message that it's clamping down on illegal immigrants and reducing the lure of coming to this country.
Katie, there have been flashpoints at hotels in our region, haven't there? We're all well aware of those. Are there any concerns about what the government is doing?
Well, yes, there are concerns, and the organisations that support refugees say hotels have never been the answer. They're expensive, and also they can become a target. And we saw, didn't they, those awful scenes in Rotherham in the summer of 2024 when rioters set fire to a hotel there whilst asylum seekers were still inside, and at least 60 people were jailed for their part in that. But the fear now that is sending people to army camps is just as bad as the current situation.
If they are taking people out of hotels and want to put them in other asylum accommodation, then they shouldn't be looking at military sites, because you have similar problems to hotels there. They're very expensive, and there's community opposition, and they're not good places to place vulnerable refugees.
Well, the Refugee Council also wants to see faster decision making. In other words, can asylum seekers stay, or do they have to go back to where they came from? They'd also like to see hotels close at a faster rate than the government's even promised, in favour of smaller accommodation. Now, the Halifax MP Kate Dearden has said tonight that these closures are an important step for communities, and the Home Office says we can expect to see more across the country in the coming weeks.
From Halifax, thank you very much, Katie.
Struggling to cope and reaching breaking point. The warning today about the funding crisis affecting hospices.
Hospice staff from Yorkshire have joined others in Westminster to demand urgent action, delivering a letter to the Prime Minister. They've spent the afternoon speaking to MPs about the scale of the problem.
Well, one of those is the medical director of Ashgate Hospice in Chesterfield. We'll be hearing from her in just a moment. But Rotherham Hospice is another facing huge financial challenges. Ben Basin is there for us tonight. And Ben, what have you been told today?
Well, Ian, I think the main message has been, however excellent, however vital the care that's provided here is, like anything in the world, it comes at a cost. And bosses here tell me that many members of the public don't realise quite how expensive it is to run a hospice like this. They're not, unlike the NHS, they're not fully funded by the government. There is a shortfall that they have to make up through other income streams. As I've been finding out today, it's stretching them to their very limits.
Alan, there's your water. Thank you.
A friendly face in a haven of comfort and compassion. Lynn has only been at Rotherham Hospice for 11 days, but it's already transformed her quality of life. She was diagnosed with lung cancer 6 months ago, and after chemotherapy and immunotherapy, has reached the stage where she needs hospice care.
While I was at home, as much as I got a fantastic family and network behind me, I was still very anxious. And I really needed to come into the hospice to get, all the medicine care put right. It took all the anxiety away from me, because I now know I'm in fantastic care here. I'm in good hands.
Rotherham Hospice helped 2,000 people last year, both in their 14-bed building and out in the community. But like many such facilities, they face a funding crisis. Government money provides less than half of what's needed to run this place, meaning they have to raise the remaining £3 million a year themselves.
So we're moving into the next financial year in £1 million deficit. Obviously that makes it really difficult to plan for future. Our patients will always come first, but at what point would we have to look at reducing services? There's hospices around the country that have already had to do that. There's 60% of hospices that have had to reduce services or close beds, and we don't want to be in that position.
It makes the work of volunteers even more vital. Rachel works in the cafe here and helps fundraise at events.
What we offer, the service we offer, is just massive, and we have to raise quite a bit of money to sustain the hospice still running, so it's important that the fundraising that we do all helps along the way.
But bosses say the funding system at the moment isn't sustainable, and the last thing they want to do is reduce what they can provide.
Anybody could need it at any time, so it is a must. We've got to keep hospices open.
It might be that you might need a holding hand from a hospice one day and we might not be here.
Here we go.
Patients and staff hope that stark warning is heard by the government today and that they'll safeguard the future of this vital support for those who need it the most. Ben Mason, ITV News, Rotherham.
Well, Rotherham isn't the only hospice in our region that's struggling. Ashgate Hospice in Chesterfield has warned that it may need to scale back services. Earlier, I spoke to Jamie Mayers, who's the medical director there. She's been speaking to MPs in London today about the pressures Ashgate is under, and I began by asking her just how difficult things are at the hospice.
It is a difficult time at the moment. Sadly, obviously, we've had to cut some of our services. And so we're not able to provide the level of care that we normally would like to. We still like to maintain our quality, but it's really difficult because we want to be able to reach as many patients as possible. But unfortunately, due to the lack of funding, means that we're not able to do as much as we'd like.
And you've just come from a meeting with MPs. Did you get a sense from them that they really understood just how under pressure hospices are just at the moment?
It's been really good to speak to the MPs today, and they were very engaged, asking lots of questions. I think certainly our local MPs were very aware of the problems that have been happening, very, very supportive, and have been really shouting for us and really getting behind us. So it was great to see them face to face and to talk about some of the issues. And we hope that they'll be able to take things forward and ensure that we can get some sustainable funding going forward.
And the government has told us today, and I'm sure they told you today as well, that they have invested, £125 million in recent years. Do you think that goes far enough?
Sadly not, and that's why so many hospices up and down the country are in, unfortunately, similar positions than we have been at Ashgate. For example, recent grant funding, while very gratefully received, couldn't actually be spent on staff salaries or care. And so it wasn't really solving the problem that's there, unfortunately.
And just briefly, if the extra funding doesn't come through by the end of the year, what will happen to your patients in Chesterfield?
I think the worry is that if there isn't funding, that we won't be able to do what it is we know we need and want to do. And so probably the acute trusts and other services will be taking on a lot more of the work that we should be doing. And so it's a really hard time for everybody. I think people underestimate the effect that hospices can have and the benefits that they can give to the whole system. And we just want to maintain that. We want to work together to help people and to do what we are trained to do.
OK, Jamie Mayers, thank you very, very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
And you're watching Wednesday's calendar. Still to come on the programme, we're meeting the ultimate golden oldie back from the World Athletics Championships in Italy.
And it was a warm one today, but with mixed skies. Sunny spells 1 minute, showers or longer spells of rain the next. All the detail for the next few days a little later on.
Thank you, Kerry. Now, anyone who's tried to buy a house recently will know what a drawn-out and stressful process it really can be. The government is currently looking at ways to speed up and simplify the whole process.
First-time buyers are feeling particular pressure, with borrowing costs increasing, house prices high and the cost of living going up. Many are struggling to get a foot on the housing ladder. Kevin Ashford reports.
House hunting for Harriet Davey has been a long journey, a 2-year one to be precise, and she's documented the ups and downs online.
House buying is literally like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, walking around different properties until you find the one that's just right. So we put in an offer and it was accepted immediately. So naturally I started planning our whole new life there until we went back for a second viewing and realised we'd maybe been wearing rose-tinted glasses. It was directly opposite.
The property market now is just nothing like what it was when our parents bought, and I don't think they even have an understanding of what the market's like. When we actually had the offer in on the first property in 2024, the stamp duty was lower for first-time buyers, and now since I think it was April last year, it's like tripled, which has changed the game for us. We now have to look at budgeting more for that part of it.
Stamp duty relief is still available for first-time buyers, although the qualifying amount has decreased in recent years. And financial pressures generally seem to have had an effect on the profile of first-time buyers. One study found they're getting older. Their average age is now 34. In the mid-1990s, it was 29. And these days, more than half of first-time buyers say they need at least 2 incomes to be able to afford to get a new home. That's up from 40% 3 decades ago. Mortgage specialist Malcolm Davidson, who helps clients across the Callander region, says the recent rises in interest rates shouldn't deter would-be house buyers.
If you're buying a property, it's a long-term commitment. So you're taking a mortgage over 25 or 30 years or even longer sometimes. People are having to extend the terms to get onto the property ladder these days. So you're going to have these fluctuations in interest rates where sometimes they're low, sometimes they're high. So really you shouldn't be put off from buying a property just because of what we hope is a short-term distortion to the interest rate.
Meanwhile, Harriet's house hunting could be coming to an end. She and a partner have had an offer accepted on a flat. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
And if you're buying or selling, good luck to you. Now, time for some sport. And Chris is with us. And another South Yorkshire team relegated, Chris.
Yeah, Ian, it's not been the greatest of seasons, has it, for our teams in that part of the world? First, it was Sheffield Wednesday relegated from the Championship. Now Rotherham have dropped out of League One.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Rotherham United chairman Tony Stewart has apologised to supporters after the club's relegation to League Two was confirmed last night. Nothing short of a win would do when the Millers travelled to Wigan, but true to form, Rotherham put in a pretty lacklustre display, losing 3-0. In a statement released today, Stewart cited injuries as one of the main reasons why the club has underperformed this season and said he has great confidence the good times will return. Well, Lee Clark hasn't overseen a single win since he took over as manager 5 games ago, but after last night's match, he was pulling no punches.
What I've walked into has been a real eye-opener, has been sad, very sad to be honest. And you know, fans might say that was down to me, I had to come in and do the new manager bounce and had to change things, and I get that. But it's difficult, like I said to you, because we had to go at the stadium this afternoon to do some work, walkthroughs, to do some tactical work, because I couldn't even pick a team yesterday because some players were calling in sick, some were saying they weren't 100% fit. Same every day.
Well, no doubt the recriminations into Rotherham's relegation will continue. OK, elsewhere last night, Huddersfield's playoff hopes in League One took a knock. The Terriers looked to be on course for a big win over Cardiff when Ryan Ledson's goal put them ahead, but despite having chances to extend that lead, Huddersfield conceded a late equaliser for the second game running to leave them 4 points adrift of the top 6. Elsewhere, Barnsley and Mansfield both drew 0-0, whereas Chesterfield tightened their grip on a League Two playoff spot. 2 goals in 2 first-half minutes put the Spyrites in control against playoff rivals Grimsby, but the Mariners pulled a goal back before half-time and then could have equalised in stoppage time, but Chesterfield goalkeeper Ryan Boot proved the hero, saving Rhys Staunton's penalty. And finally from me, there'll be 2 Yorkshiremen in the draw for the World Snooker Championships, which begin in Sheffield at the weekend. Stan Moody from Halifax, who we filmed with 4 years ago when he was just 15, booked his place in qualifying last night. And Stan will be joined in the first round by Liam Pullen from Leeds, another of last night's qualifiers. And both those guys will find out who they'll play in the first round when the draw is made tomorrow. Best of luck to them, eh?
Fantastic, yeah, and you'll keep us posted on that one.
Certainly will.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, next, a child starting primary school is a big milestone for any parent, isn't it? But before that can happen, well, there's another hurdle to jump, and that's getting the primary school of your choice.
Well, tomorrow thousands of parents will discover for the first time where their 4-year-old is actually going. Not all are guaranteed to get their first choice, but don't worry, there are options for those who don't, as James Webster now reports.
Ashley from Elland is waiting to find out if Eliza has a place at her first choice school. If not, she's worried what that'll mean for the daily drop-offs.
They've got a lot of great facilities at the school that we've chosen, and they've got
their own chef that cooks their meals there. They've got a woodland area. They've just got plenty that we think she will thrive. You know, she will thrive there for us personally. We can walk to this school, and you know, it'd save us a car journey down, try to park up somewhere, you know, traffic in the morning with all roadworks and stuff. So it would make a massive difference for us if she went there.
The waiting is almost over. Tomorrow is offer day, when parents are told where their child has been accepted. Applications had to be in by January the 15th, with parents usually choosing between 3 and 6 options. Local authorities have then had 3 months to allocate places.
It's a very complex set of planning and sufficiency decisions to ensure that we've got the places we need. Because one of the things that's really difficult is if we have too many places across an area, then you'll get some schools not getting enough children, and that will mean those schools will have to cut classes, might need to close classes, and we know that leads to really difficult decisions for school leaders.
Last year in Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire, 95% got their first choice and 99% one of their top 3. For those who are disappointed tomorrow, the Good Schools Guide advises accepting the place that's been allocated while other options are considered.
You must accept the school place that you've been given. If you don't accept the school place, even if you feel that your child will go there over your dead body, you may not get another one. The local authority doesn't have an obligation to make you another offer. Go on the waiting lists for the schools that you do want. Families move, people get relocated, parents decide to take another school. And remember that your first choice won't be everyone else's first choice, so other people may be looking to make a move.
For the vast majority, there will be good news tomorrow, but it is inevitable some children will not be able to attend their family's first choice of school. James Webster, ITV News.
Good luck on whatever you find out tomorrow.
Yes, hope it's good news. Right, here's Kerry with more good news.
Well, I try, even when the weather's bad. The good news today, I suppose, is that it got to 18.3 Celsius in Leeming. The average for Leeming at this time in April is about 12. So we did okay. It was warm in the sunshine today, but it was pretty much all or nothing. Now, I have got some more good news. The cherry blossom is out on the Stray in Harrogate. It's the money shot. It's absolutely beautiful. Gary sent this in earlier today, and it's lined, the pathway is lined with daffodils, and there's a couple holding each other, walking down. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
And he's just proposed.
Yeah, hopefully. Talk about the money shot. Of course, we've still got our seat with a view. We've got a couple in the pipeline, but we're still after ideas from you at home. Your favourite shot, basically anything you can think of, especially if it's got like a story attached to it or it holds a special place in your heart. And we'll just show you a little bit of what we've been up to recently.
If you want to fly like a bird, come along and have a go.
I'm not an expert photographer, but I'm sure somebody could point out the science of why that feels so good to look at.
Sunrise is my favourite part of the day, that twilight hour before the sun comes up. I think it's quite magical.
There you go. So I'm super excited about what's to come over the next few months. But if you think you know of anywhere that would help, it's weatherphotos@itv.com. Also, money shots coming through now. I absolutely love April. It's the Bluebells, of course. Melton Wood in Doncaster here. A big thank you to Neil. Baildon here. A big thank you to Catherine. Always absolutely beautiful, of course, aren't they, in the woodland walks. And Nostell Priory. A big thank you to Julie. Keep them all coming. Weatherphotos@itv.com.
Lovely photos, aren't they?
Great photos, yes, certainly. Now then, to a man proving age really is just a number. Tony Bowman is 90 years old, but shows no signs of slowing down.
No, he's just got back from the World Athletics Championships in Italy with no less than 5 gold medals.
Well, Tony came into the studio earlier, but first let's see one of those winning moments.
And here is the man himself, Tony. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
7 medals in all?
Yes, I've got 5 gold, silver and a bronze.
That's pretty amazing. What's the secret to your success, would you say?
Well, I think it's because I've got the right genes. I was brought up in a working class family. I went right through the Blitz in the forces. My dad was a London bus driver, and I don't know, I've always been very, very keen on keeping fit. With all sorts of sports. And I must say that I only played football at junior school. If I had played football at grammar school, my knees and ankles would be, I wouldn't be able to do this. But I played rugby and hockey, so I was very fortunate.
Interesting.
What was it like in Turin? Did you feel like your body was holding up okay, or did you have any worries?
I struggled for the last 10 metres in the 200 metres. I don't know how they got there.
And of course, training must be very, very important when you prepare for these events.
Yes, I train every other day. I always go on a Tuesday, Wednesday. In fact, after this interview, I go to the track at Headingley with the university track, and I train every other day because I need a day's rest in between.
Tony, you're 90 years old at the moment, and you've said that you want to be sprinting when you're 100.
Yes, I want to do 100 metres when I'm 100.
Yeah, have you got it all mapped out then, the training for that?
Not really. I take life as it comes.
There are people still competing at the age of 100 and over then, are there?
I suppose about 3 in the world.
So where are you going to keep all these medals?
I've got the walls plastered with them. Together with photographs, I've got shoeboxes full of them. Shoeboxes.
Oh, great. And I suppose the message to people out there watching who perhaps maybe don't go out very much and just sit and watch the telly, is actually get out there and do something.
Yes, exactly, yes. I feel I'm a bit of an inspiration to people because they say to me, you're an inspiration to us. And they use it as a legend.
Well, you are a legend. You are a legend.
You are a legend, most certainly in our eyes. And do you know what? It's a privilege to have you here in the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, well, thank
you.
Thanks for coming in.
Lovely to meet you.
And you.
Come back when you win that 100 sprint. When you're
in
100.
10 years. Will you be here soon?
Hopefully.
Better ask the boss.
Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
He could well outlive us, couldn't he?
I think so. Will you still be here in 10 years' time? I don't know.
Well, I will if you will.
OK.
Well, there we
Why
go.
Not?
Hopefully Kerry will too. Here she is.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, it seems to be a different weather story every time we look up at the moment. At one point it's blue skies and sunshine, the next showers or longer spells of rain, but yes, definitely on the warm side today. We started off with some fairly cloudy skies, then some decent sunny spells, but it's this weather front that's been waiting in the west for much of the day that's now pushed its way across the region, pepping up for a time before pushing out into the North Sea over the next few hours or so. So becoming drier and clearer, but there will be a few more showers coming through during the early hours. Again, could be heavy and be accompanied by strong and gusty winds. And it stays pretty blustery over the Pennines for much of the night. And even under the clearer skies with that southwesterly, nothing too chilly, and certainly towns and cities between around 7 and 9 Celsius. Great shot here from Steve. A big thank you for sharing. 6:04 and 8:09 are your sun times for tomorrow. So a few showers perhaps early on in the morning, but it's a bright and breezy and mainly dry start to the day tomorrow. Into the afternoon, a little bit more clouds. Still the risk of a shower, but again, many places escaping with a reasonably dry day, but it will be breezy from the southwest and temperatures maybe not quite as impressive as today, but still above the average, still looking at mid-teens Celsius 15 or 16. As we head into Friday, we are expecting a weather front to emerge from the west, pushing its way eastwards for the middle part of the day. Behind that again, sunshine and showers, low pressure staying to the northwest of the UK, so that by the time we reach the weekend, high pressure building, not necessarily sunny, but calmer, drier, a little bit brighter and temperatures nearer normal.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
So, Keza, can I get out in the garden then?
Yes, tomorrow and definitely the weekend.
Right, definitely the weekend.
I was out in the garden this morning.
Oh, well done you.
Yeah.
I was at work.
It felt quite mild.
Good.
Yeah, you were at work.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair point. That's it. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye.